Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our TRAE Meetup at San Francisco. So my name's Amber, and I'll be the keynote speaker for today. And I'm from the TRAE team, and I'm currently doing the product marketing for TRAE. So actually, I'm just wondering does anyone know what is the name TRAE means? Yeah, yes. So TRAE is the acronym for the Real AI Engineer. So I will briefly introduce why and what we built in the Real AI Engineer and how we put our vision of human AI collaboration into practice in this speech. So before we get started into TRAE, I want to first acknowledge some of the problems that we are all solving in the AI coding space. So if we look at the history of programming, it has taken us from punch cards to text editors and then to IDEs like VS Code and JetBrains. However, there is an ongoing problem in coding. So usually, as we all know in this room, developers are the people in the team that has most screens and tabs open in their computer. And if you've been a developer before 2025, you must be very familiar with these stuffs. And you must have at least one of these open while you're actually coding. So in this year, we've seen a revolution in AI coding. And AI coding is actually democratizing software development. And it's changing the way that people code. From with the birth of ChatGPT, people start copy-paste their code snippets from ChatGPT into their code files. And then it comes the AI editors where you can chat with AI in the right panel in your editor. And now we also see a lot of coding agents coming up where you can just give your prompts in a chat box and let coding agent do the work for you. And this is also relates to the initial product of TRAE IDE, where we started off as a plugin and then evolved into an AI IDE where you can build with AI in inline chat and work with your collaborative AI agents. So in TRAE IDE, you can actually start from left in a co-pilot way, or start from right where you can talk. You can start directly with Builder. So with the inline chat, we have our TRAE model, which actually understands your intent and helps smart coding with your daily work. And you can also start directly by chatting with Builder, where you can delegate your task to your AI agents to let them code for you. And with the agents, we equip the TRAE agents with context, MCPs, and rules. So context and MCPs give the agents the right information to help them build better. And you can also custom your own agents to build a team of AI experts for your work. And we've seen people doing a lot of creative work with the custom agents where you can build a team of product managers, front-end engineers, web engineers, and QA test engineers inside your IDE. So this is where TRAE IDE is born. However, before we went into our new version, I want to acknowledge some of the new challenges that we are facing by the middle of 2025. So with the hype of vibe coding, we actually see that there's never been a better time to build. But however, So with the AI coding, with the hype of vibe coding, we've seen that the professional developers speed up their development. And what used to take months to build can now accomplish just within several days by a professional developer. And we've also seen a new generation of builders where a lot of people joined the crowd, and not just for professional programmers, but also like product managers, data scientists, designers, marketers, and others. And the way that people learn to code has shifted from reading JavaScript textbooks to actually building something real with the help of AI. And this also brings much more creativity to what you can build with AI coding. But soon, I think we see the new problems arose. Developers find themselves like fighting with AI in their limited chat box and getting frustrated when the AI doesn't follow the instructions. And also, instead of like writing code manually, developers right now like writing extensive markdown files like rules, documentations, PRDs, and README docs. Instead of like managing different code base, you're now having a headache like doing like extensive context management. And with all these AI vibe coding tools, everyone can build a landing page. But what's next? And what's next after the initial success? So these are the questions that we are trying to answer with our new version. And also, this is our vision of how we think of the future of AI development is going to look like. So what we want to do is that we don't want to just build another AI IDE or just give you an agent that acting solely as your coding assistant. We want to create a new way for you to build with AI. And in July, we launched our early access to TRAE Solo mode, where you can easily make the switch from IDE to TRAE Solo. So in the TRAE Solo mode, we're rethinking the collaboration between human and AI. And here's the three main parts of how we put this into practice. So the first thing is around the agent. So Solo Builder is our autonomous agent that can handle complex tasks with step-by-step problem-solving capabilities. So you see that right now it's different from the AI IDE. We've moved the agent to the left panel of our UI, and we redesigned the interface to let agent take over the work instead of agent is limited in the right panel of the IDE. And by redesigning the interface, we're actually putting the context engineering in action in Solo. So the agent sits in the left panel, and on the right, you've seen an extended view with your editors, terminals, browsers, and docs. So with the graphic interface, Solo gathers the right information, and you can still give things to Solo like project guidelines, best practices, your project docs and rules. But besides that, it also picks the live context from the tabs in the left panel, and also with the system output and its own memories inside the extended view. So once the agent understands the context, Solo can break down the task into logical steps and picks the right tools from the same panel at the right time. So we've added integrations to common services like database like Supabase, also the AI services, and as well as the payment service like Stripe. And you can delegate real-world tasks like turning design into prototype, setting up database, writing up LM API calls, and adding payment services to Solo. So with the right context and tools, Solo finished up the task in the right format. Solo usually starts with the requirements and figure out the clean PRDs and technical docs before it went into implementation. And then it can come up with a prototype for your work. And it can also handle front-end development, handles your back-end logics, and then handles the debugging, testing, and optimizations for your work. And when it comes to deployment, we also have the built-in Vercel deployment added to Solo so that you can deploy your service with one click. So with TRAE Solo, we want you to build real products. By real products, I'm meaning the products that are shippable and built with good taste, and it's also scalable. So shippable as in we have deployment support and issue triage right inside Solo to help you share your work with your teams and with your communities instantly. And by building products with good taste, we can give Solo your design frame, your UI guidelines, and making edits in the browser for your UI directly in Solo. And by scalable, we don't just want you to stop at 0 to 1, but Solo is also able to handle complex coding tasks like refactoring. Okay, so who wants to see a real life build for TRAE Solo? That's it. Okay. So as you can see, we previously have the IDE version, which is already used by millions of developers worldwide. And Solo is our latest version. Now it's in early access. So what I'm trying to do is I'm going to build an image editor that can allow users to upload image and apply visual effects like anime, film camera, and all painting effects. And also I want to build it in a pixel style. So let's send it to Solo and see what I can do. Okay, so you can see that right now Solo starts by figuring out my requirements and break it down into a detailed product requirement doc. And then it's figuring out the technical architectures that I need to build with the tech stack. And right now we are in the flow mode so that you can actually follow the actions for Solo, but we can also switch tabs if we want to. So flow is where you just let Solo do the work. So you can watch your coding agent doing the work instead of like you jumping in to interrupt them. Okay, we hear the sun. So looks like it just finished up the architecture doc, and we can click on ready to build. So while I'm in letting the agent do the work, I can actually also hide our panels and then just switch on working on something else. So now you can see that Solo is taking over the terminal and then building up our application. Because we started from an empty file, so Sync Solo is taking care of managing all the dependencies and setting up the environment for us. Yeah. And I'll trust Solo to figure out it itself. Yeah. Okay. So I want to continue introducing our other capabilities a bit, and then just letting Solo to do the work for a bit. And then it will give us a notification when it's done. Okay. All right. We'll come back when Solo is finished. So like I just showed our new interface, we also give you the decision on how you want to work with AI, because if you want to switch back to dev mode, you can also click on the button, switch button, to switch back to the dev mode. So in the dev mode, we also support like shipping in different modes. On auto modes give you prioritize your speed, and then max mode give you a larger context window. And we also have powerful model options inside TRAE. And also TRAE comes with security protections. And if you want to code in the privacy mode, we also fully support coding inside the privacy mode.
What model is that using?
For the Solo, currently it's using Cloud 4. Yeah. So in privacy mode, we don't store your data, and also like with the privacy mode, your data and your code and your IDEs are fully protected, and you can see more in our privacy policies and our product descriptions inside the privacy mode. Yeah. And I think our main goal is to help you ship faster. And as a team, we ship fast too. So you can see that we've had 63 version updates in the last 7 months, which means like around 3.4 days per iteration. Okay. Now let's switch back to Solo. And see how it works. All right. So it just gives us the image editor that we are asking for. I want to try if it works. Okay, so if we give them the image, and if I want to use the style for this image, apply effects. Okay, it's not the perfect effects, but as you can see, it works within one shot. So let's give a round of applause to Solo. Okay, and with the Vercel integrations, I can also deploy my service here. So I'll just skip this step and then back to our communities. Right. Okay, so as I just mentioned, we have TRAE now has a global dev community, and we are actively hosting a lot of events and working very closely with our power users and fellows around the world. So we've did several hackathons at Berkeley, Stanford, Carnegie Mellon, and we've just had events at Japan, in Tokyo. So today we are also okay. Yeah. Today, we are also super excited to joined by some of our TRAE power users who's going to share their amazing thoughts and takes on how they are using TRAE to build their own stuffs. And I'm sure it's going to be super, super interesting. So you can also follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Reddit, and Discord. I'll give you guys some time to take the screenshots. And as I just mentioned, Solo is in early access, but today we are giving all the people here the Solo Go code to you all so that you can play around with it. Yeah. Cool. So this is all for our initial demo and our brief introduction to the product itself. And I'm here for any questions you have.
Thank you for the presentation. It was very interesting. So there's been some reports, some studies done by MIT that some of these tools are actually reducing productivity. So yeah, some of these tools are actually reducing productivity because you spend so much time trying to understand what the AI did. And it's a very daunting task if you get a massive code base just generated like that to go in and know what it is doing. Unless if you didn't do it yourself, you didn't, your brain circuits didn't really understand what was done. So that's the first. So what is your experience with that? And the second, related to that, the product specs are almost never always accurate. If anybody who's done a startup or even in a large company, you're always changing the product, you're always pivoting at the last minute. And then what's your experience, any of the power users, in using the IDE when you build something massive and then at the last minute you realize, no, we need to go in a totally different direction?
Thank you. That's actually a very good question, and it's like a headache a lot of people are having with AI coding. So I think my answer to this is I think you have to figure out a way of how you manage, how you bring context into your agents and how you manage your context. So by how to bring your context into agents, it's not like we are just dumping all the docs and all the rules into an agent, and then the model is for sure, it's gonna get confused. So it's like how you give the agent the right context in the right format. I think that's the first thing that matters. And the second thing is how you put the dynamic context into your agents. Like you said, a lot of times people forget to upload docs and forget to update their rules. So how we build an interface, like a like a graphic interface that I can actually put all these dynamic context into considerations when the agents are building is also quite important. And thirdly, I think tips and tricks for how to build with agents is to start small, start step by step, and kind of usually that's from our community is like usually if you start step by step, that kind of give you a better results.
Hi, I have a question. I'm an experienced Cloud Coding user, and one of the biggest limitations is the context limitation of 200K tokens. How does Solo deal with that when you're not seeing the model, and the model is then behind your, abstraction, I would call it. So how does it deal with token limitations when it has to compact and lose some of its context?
Yeah, I think that's a very deep technical question. So I'm trying to answer. I'm trying my best to answer this. So I think for Solo, we kind of have a pretty big context window, and then the context matter. How you put the right context, given the right time, also matters when you are dealing with a Solo agent.
Do you know how big it is actually that Solo's using? Is there anybody in the room that knows?
Actually, I've used Solo builders, and when the context over it, it actually compact.
Right.
Yeah, I'm using the Cloud for Sonnet.
Yeah, Sonnet 4. Yeah, that's.
I haven't tried that out.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
I think Sonnet have increased the contact window to million just a few weeks ago. They have an option to do that. Right?
Yeah, right. So for our max mode, we just extended the context window up to 1 million. Yeah.
Okay, another question for the train team, or maybe that too.
Thank you. Amazing. I was wondering if you can give it an existing source code base, and if you can work like generate a new version out of an existing source code release, and given some instruction and so forth, what new features you want. And if Solo is open source, can you give Solo its own source code and ask it to create the next release of itself?
So Solo is not open source at this moment. And for working on existing code base, I think you can also give Solo your existing repository, and it has the deep context understandings that can understand your code base. And instead of starting from 0 to 1, it can start from where you left out. So you can just kind of like pair up with Solo as your pair programmer.
Thank you.
One last question. Amber, you pick.
Uh,
Okay, we got
Okay.
two.
Yeah, sir, I have a quick question, maybe following up with the previous question is, when working with large enterprise softwares, there's a lot of like internal tooling and frameworks that you have to work with together with your new repo. So in that case, I guess in your demo, you showed a lot of maybe open source frameworks and so on, but for internal frameworks, softwares, they has less context with. So how does TRAE think of that problem? How do we, the TRAE would know the exact context when you're dealing with a lot of code that written internally, not open to the internet?
Yeah, that's also a really good question. So I think for the internal, how you work with internal tools and internal package and dependencies, first is like our context understanding is not just like understanding the open source, but it can also understanding your existing code base and existing environment setups. And also, I think we're going to have a power user who's been using Solo and using TRAE extensively in his own daily work. And I'm sure that he's going to be a better person to kind of show you how he works with Solo in his daily work. So yeah, I think he's going to be the third keynote speaker as well.
Well, my question is, do you have any ability to integrate CI/CD development framework in Solo? CI/CD.
Yeah, currently we don't have the CI/CDs. We support deploy your deploy your project directly through the Vercel deployment, and it's a very direct integration right inside your TRAE account.
Okay, I think that's all for the first keynote. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for Amber to showcase
Thanks, everyone.
the TRAE.